G'day, what's happening guys? It's been a while since I've made any videos on the Skyline. I've got a few parts and so there is some work that needs to be done, but unfortunately I just don't have the space in the garage right now, which I need to jack up the car. Sorting that out, but in the meantime I have actually got myself a motorbike. It's a 2022 Kawasaki Ninja 650L Lambs model. I only have a learners for a motorcycle. Here in New Zealand and Australia, you're restricted to riding Lambs approved motorcycles, which are basically restricted in power. But with that, I did actually receive some goodies today from TST Industries in the US to do a few mods on the bike. So yeah, I thought I would show you the bike and let's go over some of the changes, some of the mods to do. Cool. Alrighty, so here she is, my 2022 Kawasaki Ninja 650 in the white and brand new. So it's got nearly 6 kilometers on it. I think I've only put 1 kilometer on since it got dropped off, which was just riding up and down my driveway. Right, so I've already done a few mods. These are the TST Industries LED turn signals, which are a nice upgrade along with a turn signal relay. And I've done the handlebars as well. So the original handlebars this comes with is the full grip ones. I am new to riding, but I have ridden a few and I find it easier, and especially from riding mountain bikes, to have short levers, so to keep more of your hand on the handlebar, you have a better grip. Just use 2 fingers. So these are the ASV shorties in gold. Really simple to upgrade. All you do is remove the nut on here, unscrew the screw and swap out the lever, and basically the same on this side with the clutch. You just loosen the lock and screw this all the way in to put some slack on the clutch, and yeah, same thing, just slide that out. There's plenty of tutorials online, so I'm not going to go over doing that. Yeah, so now I want to do a few extra upgrades. Alright, so the first of the upgrades I want to do is to actually put some frame sliders on. See, I've already got some swing arm sliders on the rear for jacking it up, but I want to protect these fairings, so I want to put some frame sliders in here. At the same time, I also want to do a running light mod on these. I forgot to order those when I put these in. So we're going to take these fairings off and yeah, get to work installing that. So from Wommet Tech, I have the frame sliders here, which we'll put on once we've put the fairings back on. But yeah, I've also got this wiring kit as well to wire in the running lights. So we'll get the fairings off and we'll go over installing this. So one of the cool things about these Kawasaki's is To take apart the fairings, pretty much all you need is a 4mm hex. To get this apart, again, there's a lot of tutorials online, so I'm not going to go over it too much, but we need to remove this panel first, which is just that bolt there, and a few push clips. So we just undo that bolt and pull this off, and then this main fairing, we need to undo a few push pins down the bottom here. There's a few push pins up underneath here. So yeah, once we've got this panel off, then there's 2 more hex keys here that we need to remove, and again, there's a whole lot of push pins, push plugs that we can just pull this off. Cool, so let's get started. So yeah, they're just all 4mm hex. Most of them are the same, but this one down here on this bottom one, for this large fairing, you need to make sure that, because that one goes into a rubber grommet, that you don't try and bottom it out, or you'll strip the grommet. Cool, so now that we've got that off, this just simply pulls out. Alright, so there's a pull pin here and a pull one down here, and then it just slides out. So you can see there the push tab and the one up there, and then taking that off gives us access to these 2 bolts for the main fairing. So we need to undo this one, and this one down here. So we'll do that. Right, so we've got these screws out, and then we need to remove this. So this push pin just pulls out like that, and then there's one underneath this push pin here, so that just pushes in and it just comes out like that. So that pulls these apart. We've got a few more push pins here, so there and over here, and then this main fairing is ready to come out. Alright, so we've undone the pull clips. You just pull this up, so this fairing is now loose. The last thing you want to do is to just unplug the turn signal here, and it's ready to come off. Alright, so we've removed this. Yeah, so there's that little clip there you need to remove, and then you just push down that tab and pull the turn signal plug out. So now we have this. If you were doing the turn signals, then you just need to undo these screws, 3 screws here, and the rest is just push tabs, and then you can pull this out. There's push tabs like this one here, and I believe there's some more, and then this basically just slides out. I've already done mine, so all we're doing now is wiring in the turn signal running light kit to this. So these here, so with this kit it just goes in line, just plugs straight into there, and then this goes back into your wiring harness, and it has this additional plug which we need to power to a switch power source, which will be the running lights. Cool, so we'll get this plugged in. Right, so it just goes like that, and we're ready to reinstall this fairing. Now with the fairing, there's these hooks here at the front, so that needs to hook into there first, and then we can push the rest on. Right, now before we put the fairing back on, one of the things with the 650L, the Lamb's bike, is that it has a a throttle restrictor. So currently we can see the handle only turns this much, and that's because of this stopping pin right there. So you can see this hits that, and that brass piece stops it from rotating all the way around. So what I'm going to do is to try and remove that before we put this fairing back on. So it's a T20 H security bit. So you need a bit like this. If it'll focus, there we go. So that one there. So it's a T20 Torx with a hole in the middle, which makes it a security bit. So there's a little pin that sticks out in the middle there, which is why you need the T20H. Cool, so we'll see if we can get this out. Right, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to get to, but this actually works out better than the bit. So you can see, there we go. So that's unscrewing now. Alright, so we just need to finish unscrewing that and pull that out. There we go. Alright, so we got that out finally. So without that piece in there, Alright, you can see there the hole where it used to be. Now if we turn this, you can see it goes right past there now, and this turns much further. It used to stop there, now it turns all the way to there. Alright, so that restrictor is removed, so we can go ahead and get this fairing back on. Alright, there we go. So we've hooked this front back in, the top's clipped back in. I still need to screw these back in and put this side on and put these push pins back in, but that's wired in. So now we just so I've run the wire through to the other side, so now we just need to do the same to the other side and we can move on from there. So I'll get that done and we'll pick it up after that. Alright, so we're at a point where I've got the left fairing off, sitting right there. If you are doing LED turn signals, then, or LEDs on the rear of the bike, then you want to replace your flasher relay here. So this is the TST Industries one. So it's an adjustable relay, flasher relay, but this will fix any hyperflash problems. On this side you've also got your fuses as well on the Ninja. So here we can see all the different power sources available for our running lights. So when you're doing a running light mod, you want to do it into a switched signal, so something that will only be on when the ignition is on rather than the constant 12-volt power. So on most bikes you want to look for the fuses and find one of these to do. With this bike, it's actually got a optional accessory here with a power. So there's nothing plugged in here right now, but I'm going to actually put a USB accessory in here. But this is a switched power signal and switched and fused power signal. So I'm going to splice into that power right there and use that for the running lights. Cool. So we'll install the harness onto here, and I'll get the rest of the cables run, and then we'll keep going from there. Alright, so we're ready to hook this up. I've run this through from the other side. What we're going to do is to cut this and use these two ends of the wire together. So this is going to go into the left hand side. We'll cut this or splice it, and we'll run it into here. But what I'm going to do is, instead of running it straight into here, is I'm going to actually wire in a switch. I've been having a look at it, and I think the best place is to put it right here on the inside. So I'm going to drill through here, 20 millimeter hole. So we'll just use stepped bit, and we'll mount that in there, which means we can switch the running lights off if we want, which would be pretty cool. Bit more control over it. So I'll get that done, and then we'll wire this into here, and then this will run into our main power to give us switch power. Alright, so we'll get that done. Alrighty, so we've got our switch power. So now all we need to do is hook this up, hook the turn signal, the running light up to here, and then we'll run this to the main power just here, and we should be good to go. Alright, here we are. So the 12 volt supply for the DC socket, which I'll eventually get. So we have wired into that for the turn signals, into the switch, and then from the switch this wire runs down into this blue wire. I've got it spliced into the blue wire, which runs to the right hand side and the left hand side. Connects in there and into here. So if we turn the ignition on, there we go. So we've got our running lights. They're only half as bright as the turn signal, so if we turn on this turn signal, then you can see they're nice and bright. Turn it off, and back to running lights. If we flick the switch, then they're off. Flick it again, and they're back on. So I can turn them off as needed. Alright, so we'll get this fairing back on, and we will move on to the rail sliders. So we've got the front end back together, so now we can move on to the frame sliders. So I've already got those gold swing arm sliders on the rear. They're Wommet Tech, so I've also got Wommet Tech frame sliders for the front, and also gold end caps to match the rear. So we'll get on to installing this kit now. Alright, so in the kit we've got the two frame sliders, one for each side. We have the bolts for each side, and all of the rest of the hardware. So there we go. There's the end caps, but we'll use the gold ones. We'll use these ones instead. And this is a spacer for I think it's for the left hand side, but we'll have a look at the instructions. And yeah, the shorter spacer for the other side, because one side is longer. So we've got the instructions in here as well, so we'll go through that and get these installed. Just remember, when you're doing the frame sliders, only do one side at a time, because if you remove both bolts, then your engine's going to drop, and it's going to be an annoying time getting it back into position. So we'll do one side and then the other, and we'll have these installed soon. Alright, and here are the instructions. They're not in English. Not sure, is that Turkish? I'm not sure. But yeah, shows us how to put them together. So I'm going to put those together like the diagram shows, and we will just do one side at a time. Good. Alright, so I've configured the sliders. So this is the left side, the longer one, and the shorter one with the countersink. This is the right hand side. So we'll do the right hand side since I'm on this side already. If we have a look in here, if I can get an angle. There we go. You can see the bolt for the right hand side, and over there is the left hand side. Alright, so all we need to do is to loosen them up. I've got a 14mm socket. Alright, and so we'll undo this, and once it's undone, we'll take that bolt out, put in the slider. It comes with its own locking nut, so we'll use that locking nut instead. And yeah, simple process, just unscrew and screw the new one in. Simple as that. Alright, so we've got the new one in, so we'll just go ahead and tighten this up. This new one's actually a 17mm from Womtech. There we go. So that's one side done, and we'll just go ahead and do the other. So you can see on the left side it's quite different. We've got a deep recess there, so that's why this one is long and thin, because I'll have to go into there. Alright, so we'll get this one swapped out. So we've got the frame sliders on each of the sides now. Last thing you want to do is to torque them to spec. Normally I think it's about 32 Newton meters, but best to have a look at the instructions. So even though it's not in English, I can see here 40 Newton meters. So you want to grab your torque wrench and just make sure that you torque them to spec. So this one's 40 Newton meters, so we'll need to adjust this down and we'll torque these up. Alright, so see here we have it set to 40 Newton meters. So let's get that in there, and there we go. So that's 40 Newton meters, and we'll do the same on the other side. And just for the finishing touch, chuck that in the side so that matches that and our handlebars. Alright, so that is looking pretty good. And of course, just hold on to your original OEM bolts in case you decide to ever take the sliders off, so you can put these back in. So I just put them together with everything else, my levers, my old levers, and I'm going to be removing that tail as well, so I'll pack that all together in case I want to return anything back to stock. Alright, so now that the front's back together, we can have a look at the tail. That huge Hunger plastic fender is just too big. So, package from RNG Racing with a tail tidy. Just open this up here. There you go. So it comes with quite a nice tail tidy there. Place for the license plate, for the indicators, as well as a LED light to light up the license plate. I do have some from some aftermarket LED turn signals from TST Industries, so they're nice smoked LED to go in here. I got some adapters as well, but this kit actually comes with adapters, so we've got this package here, all of the harnesses that we need, the rear LED, and the mounting plate as well. Yeah, we'll get started on tearing it down. I'll probably put the new tail together first, the LED indicators into there, and the light, get that all ready so that when I pull the back of the motorbike apart, it's just a straight swap over. I just got these today from TST Industries again. So it's adapters for the LED turn signals to the Kawasaki turn signal connectors and for the rear. So now we're ready to install this. So we've got the tail tidy with the reverse light and the LED turn signals installed, with all the wiring ready to come out the back. So we just need to get this passed through the grommet and get the back of the bike apart, put the plate, the mounting plate on, and yeah, we can get this hooked up. So let's go and get the back of the bike apart. To get to that wiring and to also drop this down properly, we need to remove these. So there's two, I think they're 8mm bolts for each one, and then the 4mm hex holding it in. So we just need to take those out, and then we can slide these forward to remove them. Now these bolts are out and that hex is undone, so there we go. All we do is slide them back. Just pull it backwards and just comes out straight like that. Alright, and there is our wiring loom for our brake light as well as our turn signals. Now we just need to undo, I think it's these 2 bolts and then these 4 bolts, and then this can drop down, and there's one more screw to do on there, and then we can pull this whole thing out. Alright, so I'll get those bolts out and we'll move forward. Okay, so these 2 bolts are out. These are actually locked, have thread locker on them, so they're a little bit tougher initially. There we go. So these are 6mm hex. And last one, there we go. So now that's dropped down. So if we have a look in the rear here, there's just that one fillet screw left to go, and then we can get this out. So I'll get that Phillips head removed. We can just take that off for the moment, move the tail light around there. There we go. So we'll just get that removed, and then this whole assembly will come off. Okay, so we have our tail tidy all together. We've got heat-shrink on these. I just need to cable tie those. They're going through the grommet, which then has the O-ring seal onto the plate. So that's all ready to thread up through here. And then we have our bolts as well. So it comes with new bolts. These are just your standard hex, same as all the rest on the bike. So they'll come down from above, and then washers and nuts for the bottom that will come up under here. Alright, so we just need to now get this fitted up into here. Alright, so we've got these bolted up now, so bolt from the top, and then the lock nuts on the bottom, so I just need to snug those up. The wiring coming down the side here, got the connectors on, so we just need to plug these in. I just need to test it to see which side is which, so I'm just going to plug one at a time and see which is which. And yeah, we're ready to put this tail back together. Here we go, so all fitted, this is screwed back down, all the wiring's run, and if we turn these on, here we go, and we can see the license plate light is working as well. So if I put on left, there's left, put on right, there's right. Alright, so we just need to put the side fairings back on and seat, and we're all done. Alright, so while I was finishing up, the DC power outlet actually came in. So I've just installed this as well. There we go, so that's all hooked up. Now the thing is that the instructions say that you need to take this whole windscreen assembly off. So I took that off, and I took the cowl from underneath here off. So I've taken all that apart, but you don't actually need to, because you don't need it to be able to access this. There is this blanking plate that is in there, and it has this little metal bracket with a Phillips head, but you're not really going to be able to access it from underneath or from the top to be able to get this piece off. So what I did, you just need a reasonably long Phillips head, doesn't have to be this long, and you want to go straight up there, but on the inside here. So you just thread that straight through, and you can unscrew that screw. No need to take off the windscreen, you just need to take this left fairing off, so that you can get your screwdriver through here. And then also you need to get your screwdriver down here to remove the plug, and your screwdriver here to remove that, to lever that up to remove that plug. So it has this little blanking piece by default, which this is plugged into. So you can see there's that little clip there, and that little clip there. So you just need to use a flathead to pry those, and then this piece slides straight off. Hope that helps, because yeah, the instructions are for either an older Ninja pre-2020 or for a maybe a Ninja 400, whereas the 650 seems to be different. Yeah, so you don't need to take off your windscreen. All you need is take off this left fairing, and then screwdriver straight up there, you can unscrew it, and yeah, put your socket in and you're ready to go. Cool. Alright, so there we are, guys. My 2022 Kawasaki Ninja 650 with the ASV C5 levers, the frame sliders, the swing arm sliders, the tail tidy with the LED turn signals in the rear, the TST Industry turn signals in the front, and we've also de-restricted the throttle, and as an extra I managed to get the DC charger in finally. So that's all installed, and I have a all-key PD charger and PD USB power in there. So that's hooked up to the quad lock stem mount, so I can mount my phone here. Cool. There we go, guys. So thank you for watching, and I enjoy taking this for a ride.